All right, Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace Pierce. I'm so excited to be here on a Monday after the sun has set. You have no idea. It's been a few weeks that we have been meeting and having this conversation at 3:30-ish p.m. in the afternoon. It all has to do with my 4-year-old who rules the world and his shifts and his changes. And so here we are in the dark. Look at us. Look at us. This show started originally was at Mondays, Moon Days, at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's evening for those in the Pacific Standard Time, and obviously around 11 p.m. for our dear friend Rowena in Australia. Hello, Ron. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited that it's like dark around me because it was interesting to navigate the shift of hosting this conversation in the dark versus, in the middle of the day. Hello, Peter. Yes. Welcome to Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace in the Dark. So if you are tuning in to the replay, welcome. I'm so grateful that you're here. If you ever want to join us live, then please do. We're going to be here every Moon Day at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm so excited. Hopefully we can maintain that time. Although come November, when we fall back and we do the whole daytime savings spiel, I don't know what will happen then. So it should be very interesting. And just to not prove, but to show my appreciation, as you know, we're following the Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace 2023 Manifestation Agenda / Journal. And in it, you have an invitation to journal every Monday. Monday is the day to journal on this book, along with the new moon and the full moon every month. And I wanted to read to you the very first thing I wrote in the journaling page, because it has to do with this shift and just everything that's happening every single day. The little one just grows exponentially for real, like from one day to the next. And it's very interesting, of course, and fascinating to see. And I'm very passionate about being at home with him and doing or trying to do all the things and following his lead, and not so much making him live in my world, but just, maneuver and surveillance his world, if that makes sense. And so it can be exhausting. And the first thing I wrote today was, I am grateful for the ability to flow with the changes. And I thought of what a great affirmation that was, because I woke up already thinking about what time am I going to do this today. I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I don't want to confuse anybody. I don't want to, I definitely don't want to host it if he's awake. And so all of these thoughts, right, just through my head throughout the day. And before I knew it, 3:30 rolled around and my child was wide awake. And I was like, there's just no way that we're going to do this in the day anymore. And so if I wasn't, right, going back to the affirmation, if I didn't have the ability to flow with the changes as opposed to against the changes, or as opposed to just being rigid, right, then I would have probably been more negative about the whole thing, more just negative in general, right? And instead, I saw the situation, I assessed, I made a decision, and then I adjusted. And the adjustment was to announce it in as many channels as possible, to let everyone know that we would meet at 9, right? And so once I adjusted, then there was no pressure, literally. I just went on with my day and flowed with what I needed to flow with, right? And so all of that to say, I'm very grateful for you and excited for this new season, however long or however short it may be, that we will be here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yay! Thank you so much. I'm so excited. So, if you're watching live, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. If you would like to participate in the chat, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're tuning in from. But let's get on with it, because this week will be very interesting. It has the potential of being very dramatic, and not just because we have the full moon on the 29th. We're going to talk about all the drama. This week has the potential to be life-changing in a way. This week has the potential to stir up a lot. Positive, negative, right? Two sides of the same coin. And so with all of that I just mentioned, it has the potential to just be very explosive. It has the potential to be just very negative, not so much dark. There is a full moon happening. So we are waxing and gaining light and gaining insight, right? So there's positive, but it's interesting that last week we kind of had one of those quiet weeks that you've heard me mention before. It's like a week where the astrology is very soothing and there's not a lot of drama and, up there in the sky, and it's a bit comfortable. And we have discussed in this program before how my observation is that we have a quote unquote good week astrologically, because then there's drama coming. It's almost like, there's rain for the drought, right? It's like everything has an oppositional, not force, but aspect. And so if there's a negative, there's a positive too. Isn't that the balance of life, right? And so here we are in the week that it's like dun dun dun, and I have like 4 pages of notes over here in my everyday journal, because it's interesting, and we're starting the week with the moon in Aries. With the moon in Aquarius. I apologize, and then it's going to go into Aries. I'm just excited about Aries because if you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about how the nodes shifted and how they were in Taurus and Scorpio, the majority of last year. And then this year they shifted. And now the North Node, which is essentially the life path or the direction for us to take collectively and individually, moving forward. And then the South Node is, where are we coming from? What are we pivoting from? What should be leaving behind? And what do we need to let go of? Is in Libra, which is the opposite of Aries. And so this happened weeks ago. You can check that out on the previous episodes, but the reason why I just got confused about the moon being in Aquarius and I said Aries is because the full moon this week is in Aries, and a lot of this dun 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 astrology that is happening is in Aries. So let's get to it. The moon in Aquarius, we've talked about before, is all about emotional freedom. It's all about that freedom of self-expression. But the thing about this week is that we're going to have all these ideas about self-expression, for example, or all of these ideas in general, just things in our head. That Ron was just so on point, pointing out in his X account. But the thing about this astrology this week is about embodying and grounding whatever is up here. So how do you do that? If you're not in a position, or if you don't feel safe enough, or if you don't trust people around you enough to express yourself freely, then there's a disconnect there. And it's those little disconnects that every day, one on top of the other, create a lot of friction, resistance, and just frustration. I feel like frustration will be a big word this week. And short tempers, we've talked about before. And the thing is that we start the week with Mercury. Let's see. I have my notes here. I mean, with the moon in Aquarius, that's fine, but Mercury is doing a trine with Jupiter starting the week. And there's that big factor, right? Because Jupiter expands everything. And as a coach, I always like to point out that if you're in a negative mindset, the presence of Jupiter will magnify all of that. And this is why this week will probably be very triggering. And this is why this week could be drama. I'm not saying that it will be, right? It resonates differently for everybody. But it could be, it has the potential to be. And starting the week with Mercury trining Jupiter, there's that big idea, right? Because Mercury rules our thoughts, our ideas, our ideals, our mindset, the things that we think and how we think. Struggling with negative self-talk, which is a theme that we have discussed many times in this program, right? And so there's that. At the same time, there is the possibility of having a great idea, something that you all of a sudden become hyperfixated on or really excited about. And when you're grounding those thoughts or that kind of train of, mindset, then you start figuring out what steps to take. That's Mercury as well, because Mercury rules Virgo. And we've talked about Virgo plenty because we just left Virgo season, right? We're in Libra season now. And Virgo is that order. Virgo is that note taking. What's the first step? What's the next best step for me to take? Or not, right? Inaction. And the reason why inaction might also be kind of like one of the negative aspects of this week is because Mars is opposite Chiron. And I've mentioned Chiron before. Chiron is the wounding that you have, growing up wounds, the mother wound, the father wound. You may have heard of this in social media. And if hearing the father wound, the sister or brother wound, or the mother wound does not sound familiar and you want to know more about this, then let me know in the comments. I can definitely go into more detail, maybe on TikTok or on Instagram or both. But the thing is that Chiron is the wound and the healer. So bringing your attention to whatever is triggered this week, bringing your awareness to however that trigger makes you feel. Where do you feel it in your body? How does that feel? I mean, do you ever go into a mental tangent that makes you breathe differently, and then you notice that you're breathing differently, and then you bring your attention to that and you decide to take a deep breath? That chain of events that I just described, that's how you get to really be in your body, is by noticing, bringing your awareness and deciding this is connected to what I was just thinking, or what does this mean? Asking, right? Ask and you shall receive. And this is one of those great weeks, I feel like, for whoever, if you're a verbal processor like myself, many neurodivergents are as well, and you like to verbalize things in order to make sense of them. Well, bringing your thoughts into words is another way of grounding that, right? And it's another way of being in the moment, unless you're in your lizard brain having an argument and leading with stress, desperation, frustration, or anger, then you're not in your body, right? And so again, clarification, if you're leading with stress, frustration, anger, desperation, then that's your lizard brain. You're not in your body. And this week with Mars opposite Chiron, what that means is the planet that governs over action and war and defensiveness and conflict and all of that aggressive masculine energy is opposite the wounded healer that just wants to nurture your inner child and reparent yourself for positive growth and for just the ongoing momentum, right? And what that means is that once you get triggered this week, really grounding and assessing, reassessing, adjusting, and then deciding what to do. There's that agency factor, right? Is going to be the order of the day. That's going to be the order of the day this week. And it should be interesting. And the thing is that with the moon gaining in light, with the moon being in going from air signs, right? With the moon in Aquarius now, and then it's going to be in Pisces, and then it's going to be in Aries. It's going from air, which is everywhere. Air is expansive. Think of it inside a balloon, how it expands, and then going into water, which is boundless, right? And then Aries is fire. Aries is self. Aries is me. And Libra, which is opposite Aries, is us, our relationships. And everything happening in Aries is going to point to us not being the victim, but just making it all about ourselves. And I've also mentioned before in this show how it's okay because my world is about myself, just like my child's world is about him. And your world revolves around you. And that's okay, right? Because aren't we all the hero and heroine? And aren't we all the protagonists in our own stories? And so, there's a fine line between making this about myself, and there's a fine line there's a fine line between making this about myself and being or acting or talking or arguing like I'm a victim. So how can there's that Libra, one side and then the other, Libra season, here we are. Can you justify the way that you feel this week by assessing, reassessing, adjusting, and deciding, and then really targeting how this one trigger and feeling and reaction fits into your whole picture and into your whole life? Or are you going to feel the feelings and maybe assess, maybe reassess, maybe adjust, or just, be why me, woe me, right? The experience can go either way. And the question is, how present will you be in order to hopefully decide whichever serves the greater good, not just your own Aries, but everyone else's in your experience? That's Libra. And the thing about the full moon happening this Friday, I think, right? Friday the 29th? 25, 26, 27, yeah, Friday. Never mind my 5 days of the week on my fingers. This full moon, the thing about the full moon is that it's about letting go. It's about releasing. It's about that cleanse of let the sun illuminate everything that I have been keeping hidden from the past cycle and let me then, after shedding light on it, decide what am I going to move forward with and what am I not going to move forward with. That's literally what we do every full moon, or we could be doing, or we should be doing, up to you. It has been very helpful for me to do this every month, right? And honestly, I feel like not exponential, but consistent growth and consistent, not motivation, but flow, I guess, of just life, following the book and following the moon cycles this year more purposefully than ever before. Because before it was like, oh, I skipped a moon or two, so whatever. It wasn't until I began this show that I decided to, well, no, that's a lie. It wasn't until I became a coach and decided to bring this personal practice into my content, right? And into my, the community with the clients and whatnot. And we used to meet on Zoom privately, and y'all used to pay to be in this conversation, right? And then I decided to open it up and have it, just be available. But following this book since last year has been the most consistent growth I've ever really paid attention to. Let's just put it that way. Because it's an embodiment practice of everything that we are figuring out, right? Everything that is flowing from these conversations and from these decisions. Ron Perry says, I'm an actor in the movie of my life. That's right. In my movie, you're a co-star, but in yours, I'm the co-star. Exactly. So you get it. And I make the dream whatever I want it to be, as long as the moon and stars give the go ahead. That's right, Ron. Thank you for that. Love that so much. Isn't it interesting, right? And with you being the hero in your own story and me being the heroine in my own story, there's a level of entitlement that comes with that, right? And I'm speaking to Run directly, but this may apply to whoever is watching, and that is one of my favorite questions that I've mentioned before, which is, how can I support you? And it has allowed me to hold space for friends and family and, even clients and subscribers such as Ron, and say, what you're sharing with me has nothing to do with me. And all I have to do is be here for you unless something else is requested. And that's why I ask the question, right? It's like, how can I support you in this exchange? How can I hold space for you? What do you need from me right now in order to then, move this conversation along? And it has allowed me to really see that by asking the question, I'm returning what doesn't belong to me back to the person it belongs to. And the energetic flow that I just described is not only fascinating, but very helpful. Because if you're a highly sensitive person, or if you're neurodivergent, you know how heavy it can be to carry things that don't belong to you, or how distracting, or how literally disabling it can be to put things on you that don't belong to you. And I wonder if sharing some examples would help, but like, how do you put something on your shoulders that doesn't belong to you? I don't know. Your friend texted you that they're upset about something that's happening in their own life, and even after you respond, or even after you hold space for them, you think about your friend for the rest of the day, or you spend your day pondering how to solve it. Or if you're like the investigator type and this has to do with like someone else, then you might spend your day, going down the rabbit hole of investigating this person in social media, which now is so easy, right? I mean, you can Google anybody. And so there's lots of ways that we carry emotional weight that doesn't belong to us. Emotions, the moon, right? And that can be disabling if someone else's emotional weight triggers you, then you're going to carry that for the rest of the day or for however long you carry it until you bring your awareness to it. Magic, awareness is magic, said Deepak Chopra. Assess what to do with it, reassess just to make sure, and then decide. That's the process this week. I'll repeat it. Assess, reassess, adjust, and decide. The adjustment is the decision, right? The adjustment is the choice. I digress. What a week. I hope it goes well for everyone. We're 26 minutes past the hour. Let's get to this full moon happening in Aries on September 29th. First of all, it's the last normal moon before the eclipse season. And remember, it's called a season because it's 2 eclipses. And they're going to be in October. So spooky season is going to be extra spooky this year with both of these eclipses on the 14th and the 28th of October. Now, we have discussed eclipses before. I will just introduce it by saying that eclipses are bookends. They're seasons of your life, whatever things are going to happen in the eclipses in this October are meant to be the bookends of the eclipses that happened last year, so on and so forth. It's so interesting, and I've said it before that New Year's Eve on December 31st or New Year's Day, January 1st is a great starting point and it's a great motivator. But if you suck at New Year's Day, then you have so many other opportunities to start to bring things to life or to count as day one. And, the spring equinox is another example, and eclipse season is another example, or you can narrow it down to the 12-week year, which is a book that I totally recommend, or you can narrow it down to every month, every lunar cycle, right? Which is what I like to do. All right. So we will discuss all about the eclipses as they come along, and hopefully I will have a ton of information for you all because I'm excited and hoping to sign up for Jessica Laniato's class. She's going to teach on Saturday, and I cannot wait. Last time she taught a class about the moon, I was there, and she is amazing. So let's talk about this full moon in Aries and then head over to our meditation and move it along. Full moon. It's a super moon in a fire sign. In the fire sign that is the North Node. And so expect to close out an already dramatic week with like a big dramatic bow. And in the book, we have the questions. So how am I striking a balance? There's that Libra season talking between my autonomy, there's Aries, and the aspects of myself that relate to others. Woo! What a loaded question. How am I striking a balance between my autonomy and the aspects of myself that relate to others? Good luck. I still haven't answered it. I haven't journaled. I will do these questions when the moon comes along. And so we're going to do this together and we will figure it out together. Question number 2. What feelings can I express without judgment right now? There's that Mars opposite Chiron asking you to assess your triggers and really decide how to express them in a healthy way, in a way that is for the greater good, with harm to none, so on and so forth, right? Last question, how is my relationship to myself? There's that full moon in Aries asking, in line with my relationship with others. And so I feel like when it comes to relationships, we will discuss all about it in Libra season because it is literally the balance of what I want versus what we want, what I can do versus what we can do as a family, who I am all on my own, who am I when nobody else is around versus who am I in the family environment versus the work environment, right? Many moons ago, and many times we have discussed, who am I on my own and who am I in social media? And remember, I'm asking like the question for you to ask yourself, right? So the person that you are on your own versus who, you put out into the world. If you're neurodivergent, then you're aware of the concept of masking, and masking is very exhausting. Masking can be very deceiving, and it's very helpful, but at the same time, is it a reflection of who you are? And how can we best kind of train our body, our heart, and our mind to begin to find the safety to express ourselves? I saw a TikTok today that I loved so much. I commented, I let her know it was so brilliantly done. And she was explaining how she would say things while she's masking versus how she would say things if she's not masking. And I'll give you just one example. She walks into Starbucks and she says, hi, I would like to order this and that. And she's like talking like this and being so sweet. And it's like, have a good day. And if she wasn't masking, it's like, good morning, I just want a coffee. Like, let's be honest, it's the crack of dawn, right? And that's very interesting to ponder how to break the mask and meet both scenarios in the middle, Libra talking, and then move forward in autonomy and authenticity in a way that feels real and real for you, as well as acceptable by others, which is kind of tricky, right? And if you have major Libra placements, the topic of the self may be triggering. If you have Libra, strong Libra placements, when I say strong, I mean sun, moon, rising, north node, Chiron in Libra, Jupiter in Libra, big planets or planets that really, they all make a difference. So forget that. I was going to say planets that really make a difference. They all make a difference, right? But the sun is in Libra, and it's bringing awareness to all of these relationships. Now, here's the thing. Neptune and Uranus are also doing their thing this week. Neptune is with Venus, and which is also, the ruler of Libra, relationships, love, and all of that. And Uranus is going to be Mercury with trine with Mercury at the end of the week, along with the full moon. And Uranus is very explosive. Uranus can be quite negative and chaotic, but when you decide or strategize, there's that word I love to use so much. When you strategize, then hopefully when the time comes, you have decided what you're going to do and how to best move forward. But if you have strong Libra placements, that's what I was going to say. It's going to feel very uncomfortable. And I just hope that you find calm, self-soothing ways to navigate this week. Jessica, in her Ghost of a podcast, emphasized that boundaries are going to be huge. And she didn't mention the positive aspect of boundaries, but it reminded me that I do love to give you new perspectives. So here's the thing about boundaries, and I'm going to create a series on this on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, please follow me at somecoaching.tt for TikTok. But we tend to hear about boundaries a lot about when it comes to other people, how to establish boundaries of saying no. No is a boundary. No is a full sentence, or not now, or not today. Like, I get it. And I see a lot of conversations about boundaries that are in that negative light, almost like giving boundaries a bad rap. But boundaries can be so positive and productive. And I feel like this is the week to remember how boundaries can work in your favor and not have that negativity energy attached to them. And so here's a few examples of some boundaries that are totally positive, especially when you're consistent about them, because, at first it sucks to establish a boundary and to reinforce it, right? So let's talk about boundaries for self-care. A boundary for self-care is deciding, this week I'm going to dedicate 1 hour of my day to do this one thing. Pick a thing and pick an hour and commit to that. That's a boundary. Now, whether you follow the boundary and do it, that's another conversation. And then if you don't do it, and then you're going to be negative, and self-deprecating about not doing the boundary you said you were going to do, then that's another conversation. And if you're an oral processor like me and you like to talk about things, then this is a great week to book that call with a therapist, or book that call with a coach, or with a friend, or with a mentor, someone that can, just hold space so that you can process and get out of your head, because it's not the week to be all up in your feelings and in your head about, just the negativity that may ensue. Another boundary for self-care is deciding that when you feel triggered about this one thing, pick what that thing is, right? Decide what the trigger looks like so that you can recognize it when it shows up. And then decide that when this trigger shows up, if it shows up, you're going to do this one thing. So if or when this week I am triggered about my core wounding and symptoms of abandonment as a child, so I'm anticipating what might happen this week, right? When all of that rises to the surface this week as the sun sheds light on it, then I am going to go for a walk. That's a boundary, deciding that. And then it's up to me to enforce that boundary, to embody that decision, and to carry it out. I hope that made sense. In the end, boundaries are there to serve you. Boundaries are there to support you. I get it that it's uncomfortable and borderline scary to reinforce a boundary and to continue to establish it, but your boundary is your problem. And if your boundary involves someone else, it is your job to remind them of this boundary and to continue to enforce, however way that looks like, hopefully non-violently, the boundary that you have established. It's not someone else's job to remember your boundaries. So keep that in mind this week so that you can be gentle about those reinforcements and so that you can be kind about it. One of the most fascinating things that I have discovered is how we have these conversations about what the week will look like or what could happen this week. And then I love to see it all unfold in other people's social medias and in other people's posts about how they view and experience the world. I find that so fascinating. And so Jessica Lanyadoo mentioned in her Ghost of a podcast how this week might be very explosive or triggering for those who are very interesting in conserving the patriarchy. And we've also had many conversations about this, mostly privately in the back channels. If you want to talk privately with me, then become a subscriber in the link in the bio or book a private call, right? But, you know, it's just interesting how collectively so many people are opening up and, broadening their spectrum of awareness. And yet there is still a large number of people who just they're not interested, and they're just, in their box of ideals and I don't even know, beliefs, I guess. So anyway, very interesting week. We have affirmations for every moon day and for the full moon. So let's go back to today in the book. And the waxing gibbous wants you to remember to not be afraid to spend time with your feelings. That's the lesson this week. Don't be afraid and spend time with your feelings. Affirmations: I observe each feeling as it comes without judgment. Can you say that about the things that are being brought up this week? Or are you being self-deprecating? And if you are, what are you going to do about it? Do you want to stop that behavior? If you do, please book a call. This is what I support people to do. One of the things I support people to do, right? Every feeling is a lesson, highlighting work that needs to be done for self-development. I mean, listen, I wrote this a year ago and here it is. This is what we were just talking about. Every feeling is a lesson, highlighting work that needs to be done for self-development. That's what's happening this week. And then the affirmation for the full moon is, I am assertive and focused. There's that Mars energy talking. There's that North Node in Aries talking, right? I am determined to find resources that help me along. There's a decision that is not just a decision, but an adjustment. There you go. So remember earlier I said assess, reassess, adjust, and then decide, right? That's what I was saying earlier. And so I am determined to find resources that help me along. What are those resources? And, being determined doesn't mean you're going to find what you're looking for. The question then becomes, if you don't find what you're looking for, what will the readjustment be? I feel like somebody like me with my moon in Cancer, it really does most of the time narrow down to you being kind to yourself and me not wanting you to be mean or to be volatile or to be explosive or to be negative, right? And there's a lot of wounding happening in my moon in Cancer, wanting to nurture in that way. It's like, I don't care about the circumstances. I just want to know that you're okay. And if you're not okay, then how can we get you there, right? And inadvertently, the circumstances are mingled in the process of figuring that out. So, again, as above, so below, and as without, which is outside of yourself, so within, or you can flip that and really realize that your outer world is a reflection of your inner landscape. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, you just received an audio meditation today about that garden and that inner landscape and what you can do in a visualization if your landscape is completely in disarray and, not nurtured and not taken care of, and how to kind of weed your garden and tend to it the same way that you would a real life garden that requires action, caretaking, and resources. So that is it, y'all. That is it. Oh my goodness. What a week. What a week is this going to be? In the end, I cannot wait to check in with all of you later on and be like, how are you doing? What's happening? Because again, I want you all to be okay. So with that said, let's get comfortable. In Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace, we like to finish our conversations with a meditation. And now that we are back to having this conversation in the dark, we get to, thank you so much, Peter. Thank you for being here. we get to relax and unwind. Oh, I'm so excited that I get to do this meditation and then get ready for bed right after, right? It's like back to the way it was intended to be. I'm so excited. Okay. So, music for this meditation is brought to you by Brain FM, and you can find a free trial and a discounted membership in the link in the bio. You're going to open it and find focus, relax, sleep, or meditate. We're going to click on meditate and unguided. And here we are. Let's sit under the light of the moon. If you're sitting down, both feet on the ground. And if you're able, please lay down. It is literally harder to do a belly breath when you're sitting down or standing up because your core is already engaged. But if you're laying back, then you can really expand that diaphragm and fill your stomach, and do that full belly breath. So to carry out this breath work that I will guide you through, it would be best if you could lay down, but no pressure. You can still take a deep breath if you're sitting down. I just wanted to establish that distinction. So nice and easy, just relax. If you want to leave your eyes open, that's fine, but you can close your eyes. Focus on your slow breathing, nice and slow. Settle into your body. Feel as your body weighs just on itself. And with me, take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep, slow breath all the way till you have no room. Hold your breath at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth. Long breath out. We're not in a hurry. Long extended breath out. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again. Nice, deep, long, full belly breath. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out. Nice and slow through your mouth. Long, extended breath. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and relax and settle into your breath. And take this moment. And as you settle, you find yourself standing on the moon, half lit, half dark, aware of everything that's happening in your life, in your work, in your relationships, and aware of everything that's happening internally, aware of the self, and aware of others. And in this moment, in this dark, starry sky, as you breathe nice and slow, you feel and you assess and you decide that the waves of feelings and the waves of knowledge and the waves of triggers coming in and out of the light and the dark is all a process leading to your most authentic expression. So you feel it, you assess it, you decide, and you are safe and okay. With me, take a deep breath in through your nose, deep breath in through your nose, long breath, fill your lungs all the way, hold it at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth. Long extended breath out, hold it again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again through your nose. Long, deep breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go. And as you let it go, remember these affirmations. I observe each feeling. I observe each feeling as it comes without judgment. Every feeling is a lesson, highlighting work that needs to be done for self-development. I am assertive and focused. I am determined to finding resources that help me along the way. I am safe. I am grateful. I am growing each day in awareness, self-love, and self-assurance. I am grateful for the ability to flow with the changes. With me, let's do one last rep. So take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep, long breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your mouth. Long, extended breath out. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again through your nose. Long, deep breath in. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale and relax into that exhale. Feel the weight of your body as you breathe out, and slowly bring your awareness to your feet. Wiggle your toes. Bring your awareness to your body. Open your eyes and come back to me. And I hope y'all come back next Monday to talk about next week. That might be a bit challenging. I feel like October is painting to be pretty dramatic, what with the eclipses and all. And I feel like we spent all week, all hour, and I didn't even mention the fact that it's fall, y'all. It's already fall. Can you believe it? We already passed the fall equinox. Now I get it. It's a bit confusing again because we're not gonna have that daytime savings spiel happen until November. But interestingly enough, it's already fall. So yeah, amazing. Before you know it, we're going to be doing New Year's Eve again. So here we are. I love you all, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much to my Patreon subscribers. Your email has the goodies for this month, and I'm so grateful for you. If you would like to receive exclusive content and back channel conversations with myself and the rest of the subscribers, then please go to the link in the description and become a Patreon. Support my content and my business with $5 a month. So thank you for the cup of tea. I appreciate it so much. And thank you again for being a part of this conversation, both Peter and Sobi. Peter, Sobi, and Ron. I appreciate you for being here and for participating. If you're in the club of the replay, then thank you so much. Please leave a comment and let me know where you're from and how we can get in touch, because I'm nosy like that and I want to get to know you. Yay. Thank you all. I love you. Bye.